I have an advantage, girls, because I lived through both of these situations that you're talking about. And of course, the first one would be Pearl Harbor, which is 60 years ago now. And Pearl Harbor occurred as a shock to the whole United States. We could not possibly think that anyone would attack us. But we were attacked by the Japanese on our fleet, which was almost completely down there at Pearl Harbor. And we had some inkling that we might be involved because we had been sending Lend-Lease planes and so on over against the Axis powers in Europe, but we did not send troops. We weren't in the war. But of course, when we were attacked, the very next day, our Congress and the President declared war on Japan. In contrast to 9/11, where the hijackers used planes of ours, civilians of ours, and killed over 3,000 innocent people in their attacks on the towers. The Japanese fought with their own military against our military, and we knew who the enemy was. We didn't know who the enemy was with 9/11, possibly because it was a religious organized group, and we know by now it's in every country in the world, but it does not have a government or the aftermath of the attack on Pearl Harbor was we entered into World War II. And that was a lengthy struggle. We had to go against the Japanese, particularly by ourselves. The aftermath of World War II also was drafting of the young men, and they didn't have any exemptions like for college or anything the way they did later on. They had, you went when you were called between 18 and 42. So, of course, sometimes, in some instances, some were the only support of their family, so they were exempt. But some men had children, and they were taken, as long as they passed the physical. And so it provided them with, and they didn't have to be volunteers. I mean, they weren't volunteers. They were, if you were 1A, you went. Now, after 9/11, we no longer have the draft, and the Army is volunteer, and it's exceptional that you have so many young men. I think right now we have over 100,000 in the military overseas, fighting in different countries, this war on terrorism. And those are volunteers. They're not drafted. We did have a change in the United States because the economy there really got a boost. All the production went up for all the things that they needed in the military. The stocks went up because people were buying it in airplanes and steel and so on. And many people said that the World War II brought us out of the Depression, and I have no doubt that it did, because what was going on at that time in the 30s wasn't helping you much. but they do have the 40s then became a period, although we had rationing. Everything was rationed: shoes, sugar, meat, gasoline. All of that was rationed. You could have only just so much from your grocer, and he had to collect little snippets of things. And we didn't have that after 9/11. What changed after 9/11 was the security at airports or at and train stations, and in some instances, schools. Metal detectors were established in just ordinary buildings like courthouses or banks and so on. because of the fact that they have detected and many bombs and guns and things like that, and other things that could be used as weapons. The rationing, that was established because there wasn't enough of it for everybody. And that's what established the term black market, because there were still some unscrupulous people who had more money than other people and could go behind the doors to somebody who didn't mind making money and buy steaks in the black market, or buy tires in the black market, or buy things in the black market, and that's why it was called that, because it was undercover. But no, the only thing the government did was try to make it even for everybody for food. Of course, everybody welcomed a new baby at that time, because a new baby got a complete ration book, and they weren't using shoes or meat or sugar or anything else. But it was. But it didn't. It brought people together more than this. This after effect has been very divisive. Very divisive. Now, as far as attitude toward people or ethnic groups after World War II or during World War II, Japanese American citizens, German American citizens, were put in concentration camps. So, because they were afraid that they would have some influence on people or try some what they call sabotage, and it wasn't very fair to them. Now, after 9/11, all Muslims were suspect.